I think the CEO's job is to be able to manage today and the present and survive, build the revival and the thriving mode, but look at what will I do differently 3 to 5 years from now. And I think that is something which has always helped me.
Thank you, Santhanam, very much for taking the time today. Really, really appreciate it. One place that I want to get started with is 45 years, one company. You would have many, many places to, or many like opportunities or time horizons with which you could have left, but you stayed. What worked for you in such a long journey at 45 years? Yeah.
One, I think by chance,
That's right.
I found a place which was a great match for my talent. So at IIM, as well as in IIT, I was always quantitatively oriented. I had a fairly good instinct for analytical subjects. And when this opportunity came from Grindwell Norton, few things worked very well.
Right.
One, it was a manufacturing organization, something which I was able to relate to. There was a lot of analytical and quantitative capability that was possible. And most importantly, we had great former IIM alumni there
Yeah.
who were mentors.
Yeah.
So all these three things worked out very well. So therefore, it was a fairly smooth passage from IIT-IIM into an organization where you had mentors from the IIMs,
Yeah.
10 years, 5 years, and many of them.
Yeah.
And then an organization which is basically an empowering organization.
Yeah.
There was a degree of freedom to do what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think that is something which is very rare.
Yeah.
And I had the degree of freedom to explore right through my career from the beginning to now. And later on, I put that into some kind of a frame. I called it as the 5 hours or the 6 hours. So you're always looking for the right role. And you wanted the responsibility which goes along with the right role.
Yeah.
And then you have to deliver some results, because just roles and responsibility will not lead you anywhere, results.
Yeah.
And then you need to be recognized. You need people to respect you for what you do, your areas of expertise. And then you need some kind of a internal and external recognition. And the last was reward. For me, these 6 R's were aligned: roles, responsibility, respect, results, recognition, and rewards.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what you have to do. Whether these 6 R's are aligned, then you don't really have to look around for alternate careers or alternate opportunities. I'm not saying that they're always useful, and I believe that people who change jobs or go look after other industries or opportunities, I think it's important. I don't think I would deny that. But I had all of that in one group.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And actually, BSM, if I go back to, let's say, a point in time in, let's say, 1980s, you studied at IIT Madras, like you say, then you went to IIM Ahmedabad, the most, prestigious of colleges in the country. A overwhelming probability of talented, people coming out of those institutions would have then looked at, let's say, a banking career, maybe go abroad, pick up the best of the jobs. But you ended up choosing manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
And I think in some respect, some of it may come back again soon, and we'll talk about that shift and
Sure.
AI. But what were you seeing that time in manufacturing that most others did not see, or you didn't go abroad? And
I think it's more a question of, as I mentioned, it's more a question of fitness. I had this analytical and engineering and quantitative background.
yeah,
I had exposure to general management principles in IIM Ahmedabad.
yeah,
I don't think I was at that point in time. Those days, the consulting was not an important profession people were entering into. We only had Ferguson. I think there was only Fergusons who were doing some consulting organization. And it was really banking, fast moving consumer goods like Hindustan Levers and many others.
yeah,
and consumer goods companies like paints and many others. Asian Paint was a behemoth where many people joined
Yeah.
from my time.
Yeah.
For me, I think this quantitative analytical background
Yeah.
and the fact that manufacturing seemed to be more the place where I would be very comfortable with,
Yeah.
and the fact that Grindmill Norton happened to be a place.
How large were they at that point in time?
How large?
Yeah.
I think they were about, when I joined, it was some 16 crores.
Wow. Amazing.
So it was, but it had the history of having people from Ahmedabad and IIM
Wow.
Cal from 1969. In fact, I was
Wow.
reporting to Satish Joshi, who was my mentor, who recruited me. He was 1970, 1968 IIT Bombay, and 1970 IIM
So
Calcutta.
that was the quality
So
of talent that will
yeah,
there.
so they were being attracted. So therefore, it felt that this would be a place where one can do well. I wasn't very sure I will flourish.
Yeah.
I think there is an. I thought that the place would give me the atmosphere. And the summer trainees from my batch,
Yeah.
two of them said that, look, this is a great place.
Yeah.
They have some interesting work to do.
Yeah.
And it's also what you would now call as a cool place. You didn't have to break your sweat over every single thing.
Right.
The atmosphere is
Conducive.
less formal. And you have alumni from IIM, Ahmedabad and Cal. Those days, Bangalore was still not a big name. IIM Bangalore. IIM Ahmedabad and Cal. We had several people who were from who were there. So they'll mentor you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And later on, I think in one of the places you said that when you look back at your journey, you almost could now see it in like 5 phases. But at that point in time, it almost looked like, initially it looked like survival. When do those patterns start to emerge? And as they say, looking back, it's easier
Yeah.
to connect the
So I
dots.
think
Just go slightly deeper on
yeah.
that.
So this is more. I wrote about this in one of my talks in the past. This is more very relevant for the last 25, 26 years of my work. I think when we entered this industry, we were the sixth player. There were two multinationals and three large Indian companies in the glass industry. The one thing that is common amongst all of them were they were losing
Money.
money.
All six of them.
All five of them. So we were the sixth player
Yeah,
to
you as
enter,
the sixth. Okay.
and all of them were losing money. And those days we used to call it as a BIFR, what is now called as NCLT. It was called. I don't know the expansion, but I think it was BIFR.
Yeah.
And all of them were in the throes of BIFR. And two multinationals, one American, one Japanese multinational with collaboration with large Indian groups.
Yeah.
And we entered. And we were very clear that we have to survive that initial phase. But what I want to always say is, after survival, there is always a certain amount of revival, and there is a resilient phase, then there is a revival, and there is a thriving phase. So while you are in the survival mode, you say that post survival, what would you be doing? And I think as a CEO, that's an important part. You're fighting every day, and you're making sure that you're opening up the market, you're entering into a fiercely competitive industry. But you know that at the end of it, you can't just be on survival mode.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It just won't work.
Yeah.
Either for the industry or for you
Yeah.
as an individual.
Yeah.
So you look for the phase where you're reviving and you're beginning to thrive in that atmosphere. What do I do very differently? And I think that thought process is very critical for CEO. As I'm fighting the battle to survive today, how would I do something 3 years from now? So I think that is the most important thing. And once you do that, you build that thinking in your mind. I know it's going to be intensely competitive, but I know that 3 years from now, when I'm out of this mode, I have to look at what I have to do today. I think the CEO's job is to be able to manage today and the present and survive, build the revival and the thriving mode, but look at what will I do differently 3 to 5 years from now. And I think that is something which has always helped me. The second one which helped me is, I said, if it is tough for you, it's even more tougher for your competitors
Yeah.
because they're not as good as you are.
Yeah.
It's that confidence in your team, in your ability to be able to differentiate yourself from an industry where there are strong competitors. I think that gives you the motivation to look ahead. At the same time, manage the present.
And you also talk about this thing that, as a individual, this is about your terminology that you used is global uniformity, but building local agility. That
Correct.
at any given point in time, it's almost like you're holding two contradictory thoughts.
Correct. Yeah.
And there is that, I think also Fitzgerald, there was a saying that any test of first grade intelligence is you should be able to hold opposite
Views
thoughts. Yeah.
simultaneously. Correct.
Has that
So
been, yeah.
this was much more important 25 years ago, and today it's a conventional knowledge that a uniformly global approach is not going to be successful when you're coming into emerging countries. But back 30 years ago, when we were looking at the big investment of Saint-Gobain coming into India, particularly in the glass, the view was that you must have a cookie cutter approach. What was successful in Europe, what was successful in North America or South America, it should apply it in India. The processes should be the same. And if you really look at many of the multinationals which came in the post-liberalization, they followed that. In the automotive industry, you had Ford coming in, you had GM coming in. They had a very classical approach saying, this is our global template. Apply that. The national teams were not empowered enough to find creative combinations.
Yeah.
So I realized it because at that point in time, Hyundai was coming to India, Ford was coming to India. 30 years later, Ford doesn't exist in India,
Yeah.
and Hyundai is thriving because Hyundai said, this is India, this is the product that India wants.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring a product which works very well in North America or South America or anywhere else, Australia. And I think this was very important. So therefore, we chose where global approach will work, which is in technology, which is in products that we have available globe. So we said that we must not touch that. The global standards of quality, the global technological expertise. We said that we won't touch it. Because none of us in the team knew enough of glass capable of manufacturing or technology to be able to do that. So we said, no, we will not touch it. I've just said that I don't want one innovation there. Don't come back and tell me that we can innovate. We'll innovate when we are in the second phase, which we did later on. When we are doing a new lines, we do a lot of innovation out of India. But talent, product mix, distribution, marketing, brand building,
Is
selling
all of the
is
areas
all the national team's prerogative.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think many companies don't get this mix right.
It's fascinating. Yeah. Yeah.
But you will see that even in extraordinary successful companies in the FMCG today, multinational companies which were like the ones which we all said that those are the kind of company they're not getting that right.
Yeah.
Even today.
Yeah.
So some of them in the FMCG, you have behemoths
Yeah.
who actually did a lot of innovation in India, but suddenly the global management says that I want super brands.
Yeah.
Follow the super brand strategy.
Yeah.
Stick to the knitting, core competency. In an emerging market, you have to do it differently.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate that Saint-Gobain allowed us to experiment extensively while retaining a strong control on product, technology, and quality. And over a period of time, even that, we have a high degree of influence on that.
And it speaks volumes about the quality of the organization. But I must say that it also then speaks volumes about how quickly one needs to, and maybe you were able to quickly earn the credibility. And the reason I picked that up, Santhanam, is we do some work in the terminology which has become reasonably popular, the global,
GCCs.
yes, the global capability centers, right?
Yeah.
And if you see, it is exactly how you defined it, that the autonomy that the local centers want, many of them do not get it for whatever is the reason. So many of them will not succeed. But the ones that have that balance, that I'll have local agility,
Correct.
yet I'll be globally uniform, would the one.
Absolutely,
Yeah. It's
So I think it's global technology, global processes that you adapt, but you have to allow innovation to flourish.
Yeah.
It may be initially incremental innovation, but it will lead to, over a period of time, breakthrough innovation.
Yeah.
That's what we are seeing. For instance, in the Saint-Gobain Research Center in India,
Yeah.
I initially said that let's transfer some of what we're doing globally in Europe or in some other countries to India first. Let's get that part of it right. So it took us about 3 or 4 years for us to get that right. And then we obtained credibility saying that the methodology that we use is very similar. We're able to do it faster. So over a period of time, you get a freedom to innovate. It's a process, it's a journey. The most important thing in this is the the national leader, countries like India and
Yeah.
China,
Yeah.
they have to have
Yeah.
that courage and confidence that they are able to innovate
Yeah.
and move from a process of improvisation, adaptation, improvisation to innovation.
Yeah.
I think that courage is very important. So
Yeah.
I always used to tell my guys, and this is favorite statement of mine, and I don't know where I picked it up from. And what is expressly not prohibited is permitted.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so because
Yeah.
we don't realize it,
Yeah.
because sometimes we just ask for permission when it is not expressly
not-
stated that you have to ask permission.
Yeah.
So I used to tell my boss,
Yeah.
if you tell me that I should not be doing this, I will not do this.
Yeah.
But the rest of the universe of set of what is doable is under me.
Yeah.
And I think the national leaders have to have the courage,
Yeah.
conviction, and confidence to be able to say, look, allow us to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is even more important now in the world of innovation, digital transformation leading to AI. It's even more important you strengthen your nodes.
Yeah.
And nations and countries like India are big nodes.
Yeah.
If we don't strengthen the nodes with empower them to innovate, I think those companies are not going to be very successful.
Santhanam, I want to ask one more question adjacent to it, because I think what many GCCs today may be struggling to do, you've successfully done it like 30 years back. Now, let's say take that role of the national leader, let's call it the India MD. And this beautiful way of defining that unless you explicitly prohibit, I'm going to go do it. But when you're approaching it, I feel that many a times I hear the approach is led by cost, or the approaches or the initiatives are cost led, or the initiatives are value led, right? I often see a lot of, so the initial ask is always of a budget. Whereas I think the success could come from faster realization of value. How did you differentiate that?
So, one other thing is you have to understand there are two mindsets operating in the world today. Classical Western companies, I'm not talking about the tech companies like Google, Anthropic,
Yeah.
OpenAI,
Yeah.
Meta, and I'm not talking about them. I think the classical Western companies, whatever be the industry they are in, who have their GCCs here, you have to understand their leaders are used to a 2% growth rate. A 2% growth rate or a 3% volume growth rate gives you enough time to innovate, take your own time. And what China did was that I'm not going to be operating at 2%, I'm going to operate at 12%.
Yeah.
So it's not just you're compressing the time span dramatically.
Yeah.
So the national leader has to say, look, I'm not operating in a 2% time frame. My market, my customer needs, and what I can do are changing dramatically. It's not changing at 2% per annum, which means doubling in 36 years, versus 12% per annum, which doubles in 6 years. Now, so therefore, you, as a national leader, you have to bring that. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I was successfully talking is, guys, you have an intuition about very slow growing market,
Yeah.
which is the Western market, 2
Yeah.
3% per annum.
Yeah.
But India
This
and markets
market.
like that are dramatically shifting. And I think so therefore, if you say that okay, cost is important for you. For me, cost, time are both are critical, because it's not just cost. Okay, so can I do, I will obviously lower the cost of doing something which is really replicating what you're doing somewhere else, but can I also do it at a significantly lower time, so that the rate of improvement
Yeah.
is dramatic.
Yeah.
I think what China showed the Western world
Yeah.
is that when I dramatically reduce the rate of improvement cycle, dramatically, you find today, for instance, in automotive industry, China does 3 new models in the time it takes for the German majors to do one model, one new
Yeah.
model.
Yeah.
So what it does is you have three in a cycle which is classical cycle of 6 years.
Yeah.
China does 3 developments.
Yeah.
I think this is not intuitive to human beings.
Yeah.
There's this phase shift,
Yeah.
this modal shift in thinking. I think the leader has to have the courage to say, allow me to do it at lower cost, obviously, for a large global company, that's important. But I also will compress the time span for doing that. If it takes 2 years for you to introduce a new feature, let me try and do it in 1 year or 6 months. And then if I do it in 6 months, I have the opportunity to improve it 4 times if it is a 2 year cycle. And I think this time compression, along with cost compression, gives you innovation capability.
Yeah.
I think this is something which is very crucial. If the local national leaders are comfortable with, okay, the pace at which you want me to improve is okay, then I think it's not a great thing.
Yeah.
Because
You I think bring in a brilliant dimension. I haven't seen too many leaders articulating this whole piece of time compression that can be a significant multiplier effect to the cost advantages and the combination of the two driving innovation.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I've seen this cycle of you start with something,
Yeah.
and if you're able to do that product development instead of 2 years, in 6 months,
Yeah.
you have that many opportunities to fail.
Yeah.
Because at the 6 months you introduce a product, it
Yeah.
takes another 6 months for you to discover that it's not worked.
Yeah.
And I have an iterative process.
Yeah.
But if I take 2 years to introduce a product,
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the automotive industry. Why have the Western companies systematically failed in India? When you look at every one of them, they've not been as successful.
Yeah.
Because they've not said that, look, they still have their own 6 year model cycle. When the country is trying to move from cost to value,
Yeah.
I think that is something which they have to get.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you neither have the value nor the cost of nor the innovation premium that
Yeah.
a large company can
Amazing.
get.
Amazing. Just another, before I go to the other section, in your retirement, what do you get time to do now, Santhanam, that you never got the time otherwise?
Yeah.
What occupies your mind space now, more importantly,
Yeah,
the
so-
important stuff?
In the sense that I was going to retire in 2025, April, May, was known to me 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Even as I was still responsible as a CEO, delivering month, quarter, annual operating
Yeah.
budgets and investments for the future, I knew that I was going to get into a post-retirement world. I knew that AI was coming. Okay? And I was not able to invest adequate time to understand its implication. So post-retirement, what I found is I have adequate time to immerse myself in AI.
Yeah.
I think 20% of my time is spent in trying to figure out what this extraordinary transformation which is going on in the world, little bit, not too much, I've been immersing. But about 60% of my time, I'm able to work as independent directors in fairly
you
different
are on-
companies.
Yeah.
For instance, I'm in a company which is in retail, affordable luxury,
Yeah.
jewelry, watches.
Yeah.
And then I'm also chairing a board of a company which is in engineering, automation for automotive industry, semiconductor industry,
Yeah.
electronic assembly industries.
Yeah.
And I'm in an infrastructure major like L&T,
Yeah.
and then Tata Electronic, which is pure semiconductor.
Yeah.
So it's given me a tremendous amount of time to shift the lens from
Yeah.
what I had in Saint-Gobain, which is
Yeah.
really building a multi-business model in the building industry. I'm able to shift that lens and look at that from a different perspective and learn a little bit from that. I'm still in the learning mode. Hopefully, in the coming years, I'll start to contribute to many of these boards. It's absolutely fascinating. So, 60% of my time is in the boards. I'm also in the IIT Madras Research Park board. So, there we're dealing with startups, looking at very different kinds of models. So it's given me a lot in different ways to do things which I was not able to do before. I
Yeah.
could not be in the boards of many companies. I just had
Yeah.
the company had allowed me to
One
be a
board.
member of one large company,
Yeah.
and that itself was an exception in Saint-Gobain. And so I did that, but this has broadened my canvas. And about 20% of the time, I let serendipity take me where it is. Yeah.
But I must say that, the other word that comes to mind is like at scale nation building are the type of organizations that you have been associated, both, let's say, the whole Sagoba journey, and we'll go slightly deeper into that subsequently. But let's say the boards that you are a part of today, they are like synonymous to what is going on in the whole concept of nation building. So
Correct,
wish you
absolutely.
more success on that.